The Wildcat Sports Club CNY Brewfest is coming up January 31st and February 1st at the New York State Fairgrounds. Taste your way through unlimited samples from more than 100 breweries. Now featuring hard ciders, seltzers, craft cocktails, and mocktails too. Grab your tickets now at cnybrewfest.com.
Is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
That it is. Here we are. Brian Higgins with you. 77-73 Pittsburgh. That was a strange game. Lots to get into today. Phone lines open throughout our hour or so together after this one. 315-437-7644. Call early, call often. We'll get you Adrian Autry's full post-game press conference live as it occurs in a few minutes or so. But welcome in here. I don't even know what to make of that game. That was odd. It just felt odd. The whole thing was odd. Pitt wins at 77-73. It was a game Syracuse led a significant chunk. The total lead time, in fact, was about even. Syracuse led for a little bit more than 19 minutes. Pitt led for a little bit more than 17 minutes. The Orange were shooting well early. That went away late. Eddie Lampkin had quite literally tied for the third best rebounding game in a single game in school history. He had 23 rebounds, tied with, among others, Derek Coleman. But for a 23 rebound game, it also felt completely scattershot. So it's just, I don't know what the heck we were watching for a lot of it. J.J. Starling had a very weird game, 16 points, was in foul trouble in the first half. I thought it was interesting that he got pinned to the bench for the last 11 minutes of the first half. I don't know. I don't know. That was a very weird game. Pitt was the better team. I mean, that's for sure. Their guard play and Low's really good, but you look at some late shot clock stuff that happened. Late shot clock fouls given for the amount of rebounds Syracuse got. Syracuse out rebounded Pittsburgh by 17 today, plus 17 on the glass. Second chance points in this game were even. Plus 17 on the glass. Second chance points were even. That's hard to do. That's hard to do. That's hard to do. JJ, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this game. That was a game, the way it played out, it felt like Syracuse needed to be up like 10 at halftime. And then you get to halftime and you're up by 1. And then you're like, And then it felt like in the second half it's going, you're like, Syracuse is about to get blown out. There was about 4 or 5 separate times when it's like, Syracuse is about to get run here and they're going to lose by 15 plus in this game. And then it's like, oh, that didn't happen. There was a lot of those really weird just changes during this game. And then, you've got it close late, but at the same time as close late, Syracuse never actually had a chance in the last minute to tie the game up. They never had the ball in a one-possession game. All adds up to a very peculiar afternoon. I don't know. It was a very weird game to watch. I don't know what anybody else thinks about that. All right, let's get a very early break out of the way. We like to do that to make sure we're on time for Red's post-game press conferences, which generally get going pretty quickly after home games. Phone lines are open, 315-437-7644. We got both chats fired up on QSportsTalk.com, on the Twitch and the YouTube. We'll be checking you out on those here in the break. We'll be right after this as Syracuse loses to Pittsburgh in the Dome today to fall to 9-11. Pitt 77, Syracuse 73. The final score today. Back after this here on Q Sports Talk and ESPN Radio. Okay, what is up, chat? What is up, chat? That was a weird-ass game. I don't even know what to make of it. I don't know about you. I don't know if it was necessarily the game, or it's probably more of like the season leading up to the game. It actually kind of felt a lot like Syracuse-Pittsburgh games that are a little weird and close and raggedy, but when both teams are good, you're kind of into it. That game was like, this is just weird. I can't grab it. Oh, man. We're going to fire Red because he said something? What did Red say? Why are we firing Red now? Oh, man. I wouldn't say they should have blown him out, Zach. I mean, I could easily argue they could have won the game, but I don't think I would have left JJ parked on the bench for the last 10 minutes of the half with 2. You had it all the way, CBW. That's a fact, Gavendo. DC didn't have a record, but they both now have 23 rebound games in their career, which is amusing. Syracuse shot 32 threes. That is, I realize they made 11 of them, but that's just not. It was a weird choice. Nearly half their shots today were from 3. That's just not how this team is built. How did Lampkin only score 10 today with the game he had? Oh, man. I don't think Red wants them to have half their shots from the outside. Peter had 10 points, T-Takes. He had 10 points and 5 boards. Eddie had 10 points. Yeah, like Eddie had a good game, but 23 rebounds is fantastic, but it's almost, it's like the least amount of production you could have gotten out of 23 rebounds. It's very peculiar. Yeah, I know he said they need to shoot threes. I don't think he meant they need to shoot 32. Yeah, Lampkin's defense, what, Peter? Yeah, he's got a little to learn there. But Stiggs, like he's playing, like Jair is not doing anything useful right now. What were the turnover numbers in this game? 11-3. Man, Syracuse just does not force turnovers at all.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
That it is. Back at it with you. Phone lines open, 315-437-7644. Orange lose to Pitt today, 77-73. We'll have the full Red Autry postgame press conference live when it happens, brought to you by RomanoCars.com. Until then, we'll sneak in as many calls as we can. And where are we heading? Oh, we're going to Austin, Texas. How about that? Let's do that. We got Randy from Austin on the line. Hey, Randy, what's up?
Hey, my friend. How are you?
Very good.
So a couple of points for you. I think you mentioned, and I agree, it would have been helpful to have a bigger lead in the first half. And there's a series for me that kind of is emblematic of the first half. So there was a point, Syracuse is up 13-4. I marked this in my head. Moore kind of takes an ill-advised 3, but if it goes in at 16-4, he misses. Pitt hits a 3. It's 13-7. And I know that sounds early in the game, but I thought it was a big swing. You know, you end up even. And then in the second half, you mentioned the second chance points. You're trying to get back in the game. And I swear Pitt had about, 3 or 4 possessions. It took about 40, 50 seconds to end in baskets. So even the rebounding numbers, what did you say? The second chance points are even?
Yeah, that's
by 17.
Yeah, that's what's crazy, Randy. Yeah, the 17-point rebound margin. Second chance points were 16 apiece. That's wild with those rebounding numbers.
Well, but that's what happened, right? I think it was about with 5 or 8 minutes left. Pitt had about 3 or 4 30 or 40 seconds.
Yep.
And finally, I mean, a lot of people like to kill Lampkin around the basket, and I get it. But if he doesn't have 23 rebounds, the game probably isn't as close as it is.
Yeah, thank you, Randy from Austin. Yeah, we're going far and wide, Austin, Texas. Lampkin had a weird game. Like, he had 10 points and 23 rebounds. It's a great game. But at the same time, he had 23 rebounds, and many of them near the basket. How do you only have 10 points? It's such a weird, like, the Eddie Lampkin experience is, man, oh man, it's been something this year. He had 23 rebounds. It's tied for the third most in program history in a single game, tied with guys like, Derek Coleman, Danny Shays, Rudy Hackett. Shays and DC also wore 44. Neither here nor there. But somehow only 10 points. Second chance points. The Orange had 20 offensive rebounds, turned it into 16 second chance points. Pitt had 9, turned it into 16. You look at those numbers, it's like, man, it's just kind of crazy. All right, let's see if we can get another call in here before Red's post-game press conference. We got Tony down in North Carolina. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Brian. Hope you're doing well. Just want to, it's getting late in the season here, and watching this team, we keep doing the same thing. Defensive rotation, too much dribbling in the top, not enough movement on the ball. I don't know that there's any kind of semblance of any offensive play at all, other than let's just see what we can get. It seems like it's all pepper out there. I don't know what you think about that, but this has been something that's been troubling about this team. I thought maybe Red would do something different than what we.
I say, Tony, your phone's cutting out there a little bit. I think try to call back if you want. Maybe we can get a better connection. I think I'm getting the gist there, though, and it's what we've been talking about all season here. That, like, Syracuse's offense is, people are like, oh, what's the offense they're running? What's this? What's that? I don't know. Like, but you watch the offense, and it's like, the pieces are not meshing together in a meaningful way. Like, people are not cutting off the ball. I believe that's what Tony was trying to say there. It just doesn't look right. Like, screens are being set, but they're not. Are they really being set? Like, they're not freeing anything up. It's just, I don't know what's going on offense a lot of the time. I don't know what's going on offense a lot of the time, and I think we saw that today. I said it, I think I tweeted it out at some point in the first half. So JJ's on the bench, and the lead was still there, but I'm watching it. I'm like, what are we looking at? Like, what is happening right now? Like, okay, they made a shot, but it felt almost more like happenstance than like something reasonable that led to it. I'd say back to Randy's point from Austin, the end of the first half there. I get they kept the lead the whole time. I don't think Red, I don't recall him doing this last year. I don't think Red has been an auto 2 fouls, you're on the bench guy in the first half. Jim Boeheim, that was never his tactic. Like, if you were one of his guys and you had 2 in the first half, like, you'd get to go play some more. I get parking somebody when they get to. There was so much time left in the half with JJ, and then go figure, he picked up his third almost immediately to start the second half. I would have brought JJ back in at some point to see if you could have pressed that advantage a little bit late in the first half. Like, all right, Pitt was really struggling to get the ball in the hoop there late in the first half. Maybe you get JJ back in and see if he can do something. Now, maybe he does pick up his third at that point, and then you get him out of there. But it's just, it has been an oddly frustrating offense to watch all year. Now, like, why is that? Is that coaching? Is that talent or lack thereof? What is it? Like, Chris Bell. I mean, Chris Bell is the answer to all these questions, right? Like, Chris Bell, he's good at parking himself in the corner, but when he's got to do anything other than that, it turns into a mess. And yes, Bell did have 12 points today, but 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 fouls, 2 turnovers. It just tells you, like, he's not in the mix. He's standing in the corner. He's not in the mix of what's going on. Was that, in theory, a big 3 late in the game to cut it back down to 2? Yeah, I guess. But what else did you do today? Like, what else did you do today? It's, Chapa to, I think it was Randy's point again, had that crazy double clutch missed 3 early in the game. It's like, what is going on right now? Yeah, he just hit one. But, like, Syracuse made 11 threes today. That's solid. They shot 32. That's a lot. They shot 34% from 3. That's fine. It's just, should this team be shooting 32 threes in a game where you take 67 shots? Half your shots are from 3? It just doesn't make sense. The pieces aren't fitting. We all know that. And here you are against the Pitt team. Now, I thought they'd lose by more. I predicted yesterday a 14-point final margin. It ends up at 4, so okay, great, but just a peculiar game. It just felt weird to watch. And some of these numbers prove it out. Like, the rebounding to second chance point numbers in this game are like, what? How is that? Now, a lot of that, you see, Lampkin, you get multiple rebounds when you're tipping it back up like that, and then it doesn't go in. It's how things can accumulate like that. But the numbers are very, very weird to look at. Syracuse is still a terrible free throw shooting team, 62% today. That has been that seems like it's going to be an uncorrectable issue for the rest of the season. All right, phone lines open, 315-437-7644. We're hanging loose for Reds post-game press conference, which will be brought to you by RomanoCars.com. Like, there's a lot of stuff that stands out today. I mean, certainly when you compare to Clemson on Wednesday. 5 double-figure scores today. Starling, Taylor, Lampkin, Bell, Mastorovich. That's good. Last game you only had 2 and didn't come remotely close to having 3. So you did have a little bit of balance today. But the balance didn't necessarily come. It came because JJ was out of the game there in the first half, right? It didn't necessarily come because there was balance within the context of what you're trying to run. This 23 rebound game and losing by 4, it's still like that is just jumping off the stat sheet is like, well, what? What? First 20 rebound games since Jesse Edwards had a couple of years ago. Guys with rebounding games close to this. Rick Jackson, remember his senior year when all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Rick's dropped a few pounds. He had a 20 rebound game against Detroit early in his senior year back in would have been the late fall of 2010. He had 22 rebounds. 22 rebounds the year before that from Paul Harris. Took 6 overtimes, but he had 22. 23, you're going back to guys like Derek Coleman. Going back to guys like Derek Coleman for that. Dave Bing had a 25 rebound game in Syracuse history. How about that? How about Dave Bing getting it done on the glass? On the glass. It's just the numbers today. And then you look at turnovers. Turnovers killed Syracuse, and they've killed Syracuse all season. It's kind of going the other way now. Syracuse had 11 turnovers today. That's not bad. That's reasonable. Points off turnovers were, where'd it go? 10-4 in favor of Pitt. But Pitt only turned it over 3 times. Syracuse's defense is just, it is such a not aggressive, not in your stuff defensive team. Syracuse just does not force turnovers. Clemson had 7 the other day, 3. Like you'd turn it over in theory more than 3 times by accident. So you do that, you're not getting free points. It leads to no runouts. And then you're not taking advantage of your offensive rebounds. You turn 20 offensive rebounds into just 16 second chance points. That's just not a great conversion rate over being able to turn that around and get yourself back in the mix. All right, phone line's open, 315-437-7644. Maybe get one more in here before Red. Maybe get one more in here before Red's post-game press conference, which will be coming up shortly. Who do we got next? We got Dave in the Cuse with us next. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Brian, very quickly. I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you today. I'm just leaving the game now.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought Syracuse got more clean looks from 3 and from outside than they have all year.
Okay.
I actually thought the offense ran pretty well. I thought they moved it quickly a number of times and got good clean looks that they just didn't make. And you mentioned it yourself. I mean, Eddie Lampkin, 23 rebounds. I think they shoot better from 3 than they do from point-blank range. They miss so many chippies, especially Eddie. I just don't get it. He's such a big body, uses it so well on the rebounding end. The guy just can't get the ball in the basket.
No.
And it drove me crazy today.
It's crazy, right, Dave? I mean, he has the ball like 2 inches from the basket, right? And he can't get it over the rim. It's
unbelievable.
Yeah, like
unbelievable.
I'm not going to know what it's like to be 6'11", but it's crazy, right? It's crazy to watch.
But you would drop it in the basket, I think, Brian.
I'd hope so.
Yeah, so I think I got to give a little credit. I thought I saw better offense today, getting us good shots and good looks, and we just needed to shoot 36 or 37% from 3 to win this one. So I give them credit for at least fighting. I didn't expect to win this game anyway, but in the end, it makes their free throws. They make a couple big shots. and we are pathetic from the foul line.
Yeah, it's not good. I do give you, I agree with you there, Dave. The fight was there. Like, this was not a lack of effort game. This wasn't any of some of that stuff we've talked about earlier in the season. Like, they were there. Like, they played hard. I mean, it was a very competitive game. But yeah, I do wonder if this team is capable of those 37-38% 3-point shooting games. That would be the difference there. That is the one question I have with these threes. Because you're right, some of the looks were good. It's just like, man, it's not a good shooting team.
Yeah, I feel it. And again, once again, our defense is never going to be good, especially underneath. At least we did not allow second chance points too much, but there's just no resistance on shots close to the basket, and that's another thing that turns my stomach this year. But we'll hang with them.
All right, Dave. Thanks as always for the call, Dave. In the Cuse there, we're still awaiting on Red Autry's postgame press conference, which presumably will be. We're taking a little moment here. It's stretching out here a little bit, a little longer wait for Red after a home game than we're used to at this point. But phone lines remain open at 315-437-7644. Final score today, Pittsburgh 77 and Syracuse 73. Yeah, the 3-point shots today, 11 of 32. I'd say to Dave's point, there were some clean looks. I mean, Chris Bell, he ends up going 4 for 9, which is reasonable. His first 2 looks of the game, he got a clean one from the left corner and a clean one from the right wing and just missed them both. And missed, like, you're not going to make them all, but those are like Bell's money spots, and he missed them both. Like in the games where last year, Chris has come out, like the couple of games last year where he came out like sizzling early, those 8 3-pointer games that he had, those are threes that he makes with his eyes closed, hands tied behind his back. But this year, he made 4 tonight, but he's just not. Like last year when he got those shots, you're like, yeah, that's it. Keep it moving. That's it. This year, it's like, you don't know. Last year was a surprise when it wouldn't go in. This year, it's a surprise the other day. All right, so what do we got going on? We got Red? Not yet. Red? No Red? Where is Adrian Autry? We'll have his full press conference coming up for you momentarily here on this game. I still say I look at the end of the first half of this game. And much as we have of late, we'll look at it later. Red's at the podium right now. Here's Adrian Autry's presser after the game today.
Made them, we didn't, and that was the difference in the game. You could look at all the stat sheets, this, that. You know, it came down to us not getting the rebounds when we needed to get them. And, we had a couple opportunities. We had a lot of opportunities around the basket today that we didn't cash in, or, we came up empty. But I thought we did enough, battled enough in certain parts. But, when it came down to it, we didn't make the plays that needed to be made, and that was on the defensive end. Bottom line, we didn't get the rebounds. We got them to miss a couple. We didn't get the rebounds that we need to get, and it was very frustrating because it's something that you work on a lot. Spend a lot of time doing it, and then to lose games, because of that, that's very frustrating. So, we got to continually push and get ready for these next 2 games out west and get prepared for that. Any questions?
Were there any particular plays that you talked about like you made stick out there?
It was when they took the lead, and obviously a couple of times where the lead was still 3 points or 2 points, they got 4 or 5. I think it was like 4 or 5 extra rebounds, a 3 put back. It was just that little stretch of the game. I wish I could remember it offhand right now, but obviously, after the game, you're trying to gather your thoughts. But I think anyone that watched the game knows what you're talking about. It was a moment in there, where we just couldn't get the rebound. It was, Jair got beat for 1. Chris Bell got beat for 1. A couple other guys got beat for 1. I think JJ got beat for 1. And I thought that was the difference in the game.
Adrian, you talked about rebounds. They had 31 as a team. Eddie had 23 by himself. Just what you can say at least about his play in the West.
Eddie played well. I mean, as far as he went after it, but I think Eddie will tell you, a lot of those rebounds was because of missed shots that he was around the basket, from the offensive end. But I thought Eddie, played well. He always rebounds. That's what he does. But it's just really kind of right now when you play like that to kind of find, a lot of positives or anything positive after a game like this.
And in the first half, you kind of contained low and get, how were they able to kind of in the second half get rolling a little bit?
He made some plays. I thought Lowe started making more plays, getting off the ball at the end, the second half, and they got some easy, not easy, but they made some plays where they got some layups. When they went through our tag, went through our box, got a couple of layups, and I thought that was a difference for him. I thought he got off the ball a little bit more in this second half than in the first half. I thought, we did a good job of making him pick the ball up and then getting back.
Is there a common theme with those are two great guards? Trent Kepler, the same thing. Chase Hunter, is there a common theme with how these guards are able to attack you guys this year?
No, I think at the end of the day, they're good guards, and it's not just us. You follow these guys. The next 3 or 4 games, they all average 17, 18 points. But if they're good players, top of the league players, you just talked about, pretty much, all conference guys. So they tough. It's tough. So, you game plan for them. You try to make them work. You try to make them do other things. But they're good enough players. They'll figure it out after a while, and then, we have to adjust.
Once you got shot at the season at 32 3-pointers, what did you think of just how many shots?
I didn't, again, I probably thought, I didn't think we took any bad ones. I thought, the right guy shot him. I think, Jair probably could have pulled 1 or 2 back down, but for the most part, they were open looks. We just, we didn't cash in. I thought Lucas had good open looks. Elijah made 2 today. Chris made some. Again, I don't have a problem with the looks that we got. And to be honest with you, when I think about this right now, offense is the last thing that, to me, was the reason for this game. I thought it came down to the rebounding piece.
Sorry. How do you think your team handled JJ through that whole 2 early?
I thought we did a good job. I thought JC came in and, we kept it close. We went into halftime with the lead. If the lead or down one, and then we went in with the lead. So I thought we did a good job of kind of weathering that storm to get them back into the second half. So I was very pleased with that because obviously he's the key to a lot of stuff that we do. So, and I thought that took him out of rhythm, being able to have to sit that long. But I thought our guys, JC and those guys came in and did a good job to get us to halftime.
How do you describe what you want Jair to do offense? What are the spot shots? You want him in the paint more? Is there some game flow? Generally, what do you want him to do?
Jair is a guy that I think obviously has the ability to make some shots. He had been shooting the ball. He shot the ball well from 3, and I think teams are kind of letting him shoot. So, I thought he made a couple. I think, the balance for him is to be able to mix it up, with the shot and get down low. I thought today he was pretty much on the perimeter. When he got down there, I think they dug one out. So he didn't have a lot of success, and we need him to be successful down there. They did a good job of making him get off the ball, when we got it in there. But overall, Jair is a guy that can, he can make a couple of threes, and then we need to score inside.
Coach, you mentioned toughness a couple of times. Can you talk about how that kind of eats at your core, maybe both as a player and as a coach, what you want to see in your team?
I think every coach, and when you talk about toughness, it's certain parts of the game that, you have to make certain plays. And, today I think we just didn't make those plays. And, I use that word. That's the word that I use. But, these guys, they battled. Pittsburgh's a good team. They play physical. I thought we matched their physicality. I thought we did all that stuff. I just thought, that those moments in the game where, I call the toughness moments where we talk about choices. Are we going to make that box out? Are we going, make that extra step to get the ball? Whatever it may be. Today we didn't make those. We didn't get to those, and that was the difference in the game.
Coach, 22 minutes for Peter in this third tonight. What did you see from him from a growth standpoint? Highly efficient shooting.
I thought Peter gave us, a little bit more bounce, kind of filling in. I didn't know Jair was kind of, trying to find himself. I thought he gave us more. He's a good decision maker, so we try to get him the ball every now and then, especially with him and JJ in that two-man game, and try to, play, on the back end of that. So he gave us that. Peters, again, he's a guy that gives you all he has. He's a role player that relishes his role, and he just plays hard, knows how to play winning basketball.
This team was pressing from the start. Was there anything that changed throughout based on the fact that they were in your face the whole way to the court?
No, I thought, again, we typically, I like for teams to press. I think we got one shot off their press. Typically, we try to be more aggressive and try to get the ball ahead. I don't know if we didn't really do a good job of that today. We got it into the middle a couple of times. Jair pulled it back out, but we want to attack. That's what we talked about. But I don't think the press bothered us at all. But I like to try to cash in on those when teams do press us.
You have 45 second half points on 58% shooting. What were your thoughts on the defensive effort?
I thought they they attacked the paint. I thought a lot of their stuff came in the paint. Low, he got in there, and those, and then on the outside, they made a couple of shots, but they made plays. Low really made plays. Stringing our defense out, putting us in rotation. So I thought they got a lot of drives to the paint and got in there. But I thought overall, we knew Pittsburgh would play a better first half, to hold them to 32 points. We knew the second half would be a little bit more challenging, but for the most part, I thought, it wasn't good enough, put it like that. The defense wasn't good enough, and they came down to rebounding. And I don't know if it was really the defense, if it was really the rebounding. Take your pick. Either one, it's all the same, but we didn't rebound when we needed to rebound.
I think one more. Adrian, where does the leadership lie at 9 and 11 as you head off to the West Coast?
What do you mean?
Leadership on it, like in the locker room, practice, the guys that maybe are stepping up, the voices that can lead this team forward.
I'm the leader, and obviously, we have leaders, we have captains, but I'm the leader, and I think we all do it together. But I'm the leader, and at the end of the day, this is part of this journey, right? This is part of our season. We got to keep picking ourselves back up. Like I tell all our guys all the time, the easiest thing in life to do is quit. The easiest thing in life to do is be negative, and they know that. And again, we will get this out of our system and get prepared for these next two games and go out there and play as hard as we can and try to win.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Coach.
Ours.com. All right, let's get a break in. We're overdue. Phone line's open, 315-437-7644. Pat, hang on. You're next. You can line up after Pat when we come back after this. Orange lose to Pitt by 4 on this Saturday at Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Radio. I get if you don't like the red, whatever, like you want to what's your problem with his press? What? How's the press conference pissing you guys off? Come on. Oh, my God. What did he say in the press conference that's driving you nuts? Come on. Oh, man. Red's takeaway from the possession was he's targeting in his mind, and he specifically said it, like the 4 or 5 possessions that cost him the game, where they gave up rebounds late, gave up 1-minute possessions, and then gave up buckets. Who's he glazing? Who did he glaze, Dan? What the hell are you listening to? Yeah, he was talking about the plays late that Pitt made and Syracuse did not that decided the game. I'm the Glazer in chief? Sure, LA Orange. Like, what do you want him to say? They lost the game. Like, you can't say anything after the game that's going to change the result. Like, they lost the game. Right? I'm not saying you should be happy. I'm saying him telling you why he thought they lost the game. Like, he's explaining why he thought they lost the game. That doesn't mean you should be happy with being 9-11. They're completely different things. Yeah, would Jim Boeheim, Jim Boeheim would have a very different post-game press conference, yep. But if it was after the same game that just happened, like, are you feeling better? It would be more entertaining. Like, Boeheim gave better press conferences. Like, I don't know what to do. But, like, yeah, sucks to lose. This is not fun. But, like, just because Jim would have given a more entertaining post-game press conference, that wouldn't have made today more fun. Oh, man. That's true, Cuse Sports Knower, but it's still on the possessions he was talking about. They missed rebounds, that extended possessions, and then they lost the game. They're not a good team, so they need to do all of those things to win a game like this. Maybe Marquette has sausage money, Dan. I have no idea, Supercat. I don't understand what his deal's been the last month or so. I was excited about him the first couple games. No, I did not hear an excuse, Steve. An excuse would be denying all the things that cost him the game ever happened, not telling us what the things were that cost him the game. Doesn't make you win the game, but Jesus.
This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
Oh, man, the chat is making me want to leap off a bridge. Anyway, phone lines open, 315-437-7644, 77-73. Pitt today in the Dome, as the Orange just can't figure out a way down the stretch in this one against the Panthers. Let's go back to the phones. Pat's been hanging on hold for a while. Hey, Pat.
I had a take, but now I want to get your take on the chat. I don't think I've ever heard you say that. What's got you turned over here?
Not only is Red the worst coach of all time, but now apparently the post-game press conference has compounded issues because he's making excuses or something. I don't know. It's just you can't just explain why they lost the game. You have to then resign and maybe shove a samurai sword through your stomach in order to make anyone happy around here.
I just think there's so many different factors that have led to the frustration that everybody has. You know, anybody who's involved, whether you're a casual fan, a diehard fan, fan who doesn't know it's game time, you know, whatever the case may be. When you look at this season, there's been, I'm thinking 3 games, maybe 4, that were like this game. That you lost. You lost to Texas, you lost to Texas Tech, you lost to Georgetown, and you lost this one. Am I missing any other close losses that were really
I forget what was the
possession game?
Yeah, what was the final margin of the Wake game? I mean, they came back in that.
We lost by 10.
That was 10. Yeah, that wasn't quite as close. Late. Did you say the Notre Dame game? The Notre Dame game. I put that the first one. I put that in there too.
Yeah,
if you didn't say it.
So again, the close wins for the most part were against teams that you felt like you lost even when you won, Youngstown State and all that. So there hasn't been a lot of feel good wins, and
I'd say probably Pat, Notre Dame last week is the only one you'd put in that category, right?
Right. So, I'm looking at the season, and I'm looking at the roster, and I'm looking at next year, and I'm looking at the leader. I didn't realize Peter was a freshman. I mean, the kid looks 20-something years old, so he's a freshman. I don't know how I never realized that. I
think he legit is 20, but he is a freshman.
Right. So that was kind of surprising. He was somebody early in the year that I really was intrigued with because of his motor, and he looked like he was a great passer. I don't know where that passing went because it's gone, but he has a good feel for the game. I just don't know. I'm not sure what his ceiling is. He's a role player. I think he could be a really, really good seventh man on a really, really good team. So you have that, but you look at next year, and I would say out of Starling and Freeman, you need one of those guys next year.
Mm-hmm.
If they're both gone for whatever reason, you're in a lot of trouble. Because Bell was somebody who, going into this year, you would probably say, oh, yeah, I think I want Bell. I mean, I know he's got, everybody knows his issues. We've been talking about it for 3 years. But now I think most people, even the biggest Chris Bell defenders, are just done with him. I mean, he does nothing but shoot, and he's got to shoot 45% to make it worthwhile. He has to shoot like an elite shooter because he can't dribble, he can't pass, he can't rebound, and he can't defend. So, how he started for a couple years is another whole problem. But when I'm looking at this team now, I mean, we're under 500. You kind of want to see some glimmers of hope for the years to come. But I think with college basketball nowadays, everything's up in the air, which really makes you just to the point where you're just disconnected, right? You're disconnected because this season, what are you playing for?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm looking for, Brian, is can Red look the part, and can the team look the part? And I would say today, besides I would say for the most part, I would check that box. I agree with Dave. I thought the offense, there was a few plays late on the offensive set that were not good, that cost us. But I thought for the most part, the offense looked fine. Obviously, early, I think they scored 17 points in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then that rhythm disappeared, which was very disappointing. So when I'm looking at the rest of the year, I would like to see Chapa be somebody who you want on the team next year, and hopefully he comes back. JJ, Peter, so that's 4 right there. But if you had told me going into the season, Brian, that right now we're getting 0.0 from Freeman and 0.0 from Westry, I wouldn't think we were good anyways. So It's disappointing because we had some potential, but it's just not there. It is one of those things. Now, last thing, and I always appreciate the airtime, and this is my last thing because I know there's at least 5 people in the chat that are probably rolling their eyes. So here's the thing on the officiating. Nobody likes and nobody understands or thinks a makeup call is a good call. It's never a makeup call. It's an even up game. You want to even up every call. If you call something on one end, you have to be consistent on the other. And I would say there was 3 calls today that were horrific, bad, and unfortunately they all fell against Syracuse. It usually doesn't work that way. Usually, if a ref stinks, he's probably going to stink for both teams, and it should even itself out. Today it didn't. JJ's third was it his third or I think it was his third. That was an awful call.
Yeah, the one right after halftime. Yeah.
That one was awful. I feel like his second one was bad too. His second one was really bad because that was the one in the lane. It was a horrible call. Like, as an official, I hate to say it, you have to know who the best 2 players are on both teams. Mm-hmm. And you do kind of consider that. Whether fans like it or not, that's the way it is. That's the way you're trained. That's the way it is. Horrible call. And then the late block call up against near the Pitt bench there at the 28-foot mark where they called a block. I mean, I don't know if you remember it. It was against the sideline.
Was that the one on Lucas? Yeah, I think they got Lucas Taylor on that one. Yeah.
It might have been on Taylor. I know Peter was there.
Oh, the one on Peter. Okay, yeah. There was one on each of them late. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one one was a horrific call because nobody on Pitt was even thinking that they were going to get that. So if the team you're giving that foul, awarding them for that, you know it's a bad call. Horrific bad call. Those two calls, and because the JJ calls, I mean, that changes the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought if they played this way the rest of the year and all year, I think we'd have 3 or 4 more wins, number one. And then I think moving forward, you would be sit and wait. But unfortunately, with the resume and the nonsense and no Freeman and you know, the list goes on and on, it's an extremely frustrating season. But you know what? Pitt's a good team, and we didn't get smoked. So on to the next one. And college basketball is probably at its worst overall in terms of entertainment and value that I can remember, Brian. So it is what it is. Thanks,
Pat.
Brian.
Thank you, Pat. And yeah, I think to Pat's point early on there, it's so disjointed with these rosters from year in and year out. It's just a lot harder to sink your teeth into. Like projecting ahead to next year is damn near impossible because who knows? Anyone can leave at any time. Like you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. Like, would it be nice to have all these guys? Not all these guys, but like in a world where Starling and Freeman and Chapa and are back next year, and you get those 2 freshmen coming in, and Sadiq and Cayenne. Like that's kind of exciting. Like, but that world actually occurring, like it's just not what happens anymore. It's just not what happens anymore. So then you're like, well, who do you get out of the portal? And then you can try to get excited about him in the spring, but then you wait 6 or 9 months and you have no idea what the hell they're going to look like when they get on the court. So it's all very weird. It's all very weird. All right, let's get our last break out of the way. Phone lines open till the end after this. 315-437-7644. Back to wrap it up next year on Cuse Sports Talk at ESPN Radio.
Mike.
I'm going to guess Marquette probably has more NIL than we realize. I don't know. There is, I mean, people forget about Marquette. Like, they're in Milwaukee. Milwaukee is, like, there's a professional basketball team. There's an NBA team right there. Like, there's more money there than you'd realize. I don't know what their NIL situation is, but. Retaining players is building a culture. That is, yeah, it would be good to have some of the right guys back anyway. Yeah, next year is an extremely important year. Captain Lou Albano in the chat. Wow. I've pawned it off on Paulie, Zach. You guys are stuck with Paulie on Wednesday. Yeah, I can't pawn that part off for me either. The question is, will I actually stay up to watch the game live? That just feels like murderous on Wednesday, or should I just tape it? Tape it. Should I just watch the replay in the morning? There's the question. That's what Paulie claims. The record is 34 by some guy I'd never heard of before in the 50s. If you take that out, Dave Bing had a 25 rebound game, Rob, and Eddie is tied for third all time. Govendo has set the over-under. Got to factor in the commercial time, too. Oh, man, this season is testing us all. They play Stanford at 11 o'clock on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, and they play Cal at 10 o'clock next Saturday. 7 p.m. Pacific. Pac-12 After Dark. I wouldn't go that far. Like Stanford won at North Carolina last weekend. I know Carolina's been a bit of a mess recently. Stanford's got a 7-foot center guy who's a load. I don't know a ton about Cal. Like Stanford's not great. They're 13-6, 5-3 in the league, but they did just win. Cal's 10-9, 3-5. Like it's not easy because of the travel, but yeah. Stanford, if you'd like to scout Stanford, they're hosting Florida State at 7 tonight, ACC Network. Yes, LA Orange. You got it. Like, you got to win at least one. Yeah, the Stanford center's a dude. I don't know how legit good he is, but he's a big dude who gets a lot of volume. Yeah, nobody's really doing well going west. I mean, today may have been their best chance to be, if we're going to consider Pitt a good team, today may have been their best chance to beat a good team. All right, last licks here on the post-game show. Phones available, 315-437-7644. Let's go back to the line. Syracuse loses today to Pitt by 4. We got Vito in Liverpool with us. Hey, Vito, what's up, man?
Hey, it's been a busy season for me. I haven't really been there to call in, Brian, but I've been there as a fan. I've been to the games. Flew out to Boston like I do every year. I thought that game in particular, they turned it around. I think they sort of turned it around. It looked promising, but they've reverted back to the poor offensive play. I think today they out-rebounded Pitt, right? It looked like they out-rebounded them in the end.
Out-rebounded by 17, in fact, actually. Yeah, they crushed them in the overall rebounds. Yep.
So they crushed them, and they still lost the game, which to me is an indictment on the three-point shooting and the defense. But you could say overall shooting. But it's amazing, you got guys like Cuffin. You hear that they hit all their threes in practice. He comes in, has a key wide-open three that he misses. There's just so many. If you go throughout the season and look at key three-pointers that were missed, it's just unbelievable. I mean, I've seen people at the YMCA hit more or better consistency than these guys playing Division I basketball. So just to me, you can point out a lot of things this year, but the three-point shooting has been so disappointing. Just so many open looks that they miss, and it just begs the question, like, how are you such a bad shooter at this level? But the other thing is, I think this shows how good Judah Mintz was for this team, and I think that without him last year, he would have been on the hot seat for 2 years now. I think Mintz saved him last year, and it shows how important that point guard position was to Autry's success. If obviously Mintz wasn't coming back, but if he did, I think you're looking at a 15-win team right now. That's how important he was. I know that he blew several games and was sort of erratic at the end of quite a few games, Mintz. But overall, coaches had a game plan for him. They had a focus on him, which would have left a lot. Someone like Lampkin would have feasted if you had Mintz as a point guard, and it just shows how bad Carlos is. But we'll see. My opinion is I don't think Autry's cut out for this. I don't think that he's a good coach. I said last year they need to open it up nationally, and a lot of fans feel that way. When you pigeonhole or you're closed-minded and you're just like, oh, we're gonna keep it in the program. I just don't think that works. One last thing I want to say is I think this whole thing with Coleman trolling Lampkin is funny. Who wanted 44 for Lampkin? Was it, I'm not necessarily asking you, Brian, but did they offer him that, or did Lampkin want it?
I mean, he's always worn numbers with fours. Like he wore 4 at TCU and he wore 44 last year at Colorado. So I think I don't know this for a fact, Vito. I think he likes the number 4. Obviously, Chris Bell's wearing 4 this year, so my guess is he wanted it. I don't think it's like he wanted it because it's like, oh, it's an homage to Syracuse. But yeah, I mean, he's always worn jerseys with the number 4 involved.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, I mean, that was huge for them to open that jersey back up, and I don't blame Coleman. If you got to get it to someone who's going to average 20 and 10 a game, not this. So whatever, man. We'll wait till next year, but I don't think Autry should be coming back. But we all know he is. So.
Vito, yeah, I mean, Red's. I'd say that's it. Red will be back next year, barring something crazy. But yeah, and it'll be key to see how they address that point guard spot again. There goes Vito. I said this the other day. I'll wrap up on this thought. Like, okay, Lampkin was clearly the biggest NIL portal investment of the offseason, and he's been fine, right? Like, he had 23 rebounds today. He has 5 double-doubles in the last 6 games. He's been fine. I do wonder now, looking at, and Judah, we all know this, like Judah had flaws, but Judah was an excellent player. He's more talented than anyone on this year's team. They'd say that is also an undebatable fact. I do wonder if you need to, addressing the portal going forward, yes, you need big guys, clearly, it is basketball, but if you don't have that point guard, lead guard guy, like if that needs to be the main financial output of what you're looking for in the portal, because it just seems like, look at Pitt today. Like, they had the guards. They had Lowe. He was the guy. He was the best player on the court today. They won the game. Like, you need guys like that. Last year, Syracuse had Judah. Why'd they get to 20 wins? Because he pulled enough great games out to win games. Like, you need guys like that late in close games. And JJ is a good player, but he's better with a guy like that. Like, he is that to some extent. But, man, you need better guard play around him. Like, it's hard to do it with just one guy like that. Last year, Judah had JJ. He had 2 guys that could get you a bucket like that. So, yeah, it's Judah had 31 in the G League the other night. So there is that. There is that. All right, that's going to bring us to an end of it here today. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Women's Hoops will be on the air tomorrow. Tim Leonard's down at Clemson. NFL title games on the air tomorrow here as well. Normal schedule on Monday. That means this will be the first week that we get right day, right time in week 3 of Atan and Devo. That'll be on your airwaves at 11 on Monday. Orange Nation at noon. Newhouse afternoon at 2. Cody at 3. I'll be with you at 4. So we'll fully break this down and launch you into the week to come. So thanks for stopping by, everybody, for Postgame today. Final score again, Pittsburgh 77 and Syracuse 73. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.